welcome to episode 30 of the Rhody Rumble podcast. My name is Adam Bernstein. Today we are joined by Coach Whitney Goldstein. Coach Goldstein is the head coach of the University of Rhode Island softball team. Thank you for taking the time today to join me. And how are you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. How has preparation been so far this offseason for the upcoming season?
Well, when you take over a new program, it's always just about creating structure, creating limits where they can be successful, but they're also pushing their limits a little bit, and just really creating accountability, being great teammates, creating a path toward, kind of a winning culture and a successful culture altogether. And then obviously developing the physical skill and then blending the current players with future, recruited players as well is very important to blend those two environments together well. So that's kind of where we're at with everything so far right now, but we are excited about the present and the future of the program.
And we're excited to have you here at URI. I'm always kind of curious, just in terms of athletics in general, how the recruitment process works. What do you specifically look for in a player, in order to bring them into the program?
Yeah, I think, this is just going to be a very short version of what I do look for, but I think I'm a very passionate, honest, transparent, just try to be a kind of in a way, loving but tough at the same time, where there's a good balance and you're trying to figure out how each player ticks. And that can be hard because you have to treat each player fair, but sometimes it's not always equal. You can't play everybody at the same time. You can't always you can't play all 20 something players at the same time. So sometimes you have to try to be, we're trying to fairly evaluate everybody, try to treat each situation as they come. But I think the biggest thing about recruiting for us is I have three things I definitely look for. And one of them is just pure athleticism. Like, are they athletic? Can they be athletic? Because if they're athletic, they're going to be able to grow to where we need them to go, basically, and be able to make the physical changes and hopefully mental that we can ask them to make. And then the next thing is, especially for offense, would be bat speed. So when you combine athletic ability and bat speed, you can make a lot of improvements on someone's offense. And obviously, everybody has to have a little bit of God-given talent, I like to call it. Not everybody can just get up there and hit just to have bat speed and athleticism. You still have to have the knack and the IQ to be a great hitter or a great pitcher, knowing how to be tough on the mound and kind of stoic, if you will, on the mound and handle the pressure of the situations. And then the last thing, and probably the most important thing for us, is what I call wide eyes. And wide eyes is something for me that is, coachability. Are their eyes wide and full, ready to learn? Or, are they, we want to have energy givers. We don't want to have what I would call like an energy vampire or whatever you want to call it. We want people that are going to lift us up, be holding their teammates accountable, and be ready to buy into, especially a new coaching staff, because again, finding that balance of blending, the players we have now with the future and making sure that we're all going to buy in for the same great reasons.
Just one more question, and then I'm going to go into your background and then where
Sure.
you are today as the head coach.
Sure.
But, what is your why, or what motivates you every day?
I think my why, it's a good question. Sometimes it changes, but I think the reality of my why personally is just really, it's about helping young people become their best self. And it can be on and off the field. And sometimes they don't always realize the things of why I'm saying it in the moments, or why, maybe it's more of a off field or leadership quality that I'm trying to bring out in them to instill, so that when they come together on the field, and I have a lot of alumni and a lot of players that will say to me, it took me a couple years, when I was a freshman, I didn't understand, but now I'm a junior and I like, it's all clicking for me. Or, those moments when you see, we just had our clinic, for instance, the other day, and we've been with our players here a very short time, just a month about. And so it was so wonderful to see them teaching the things that we've been teaching them. And they were doing that to our clinic people. And that was just so wonderful to see the buy-in, and then them having fun teaching that back. Like, those are the moments of when I look around and I'm like, this is why I do what I do. Because this is supposed to be fun. Like, it's not always fun in games, and it can be really hard, but those moments when you see that aha, that light bulb, or, them really giving back to the community, the game is so much bigger than just oneself. And so that's the biggest thing that we try to instill is, teaching something that's, about others. It's about the team. It's about more than just one person, and how you represent our program in and outside of it is so important. So those are really the reasons, I think, for me, why I choose to coach and do what I do.
Absolutely. I should touch on this more of a personal note. I should mention your grandfather is the great Don Zimmer. Me being a Yankees fan, that definitely interests me. Going to school in New England. I'm originally from New York. But I'm just curious. So was the sport of
Okay. I have
baseball
a
or?
bunch of I have a bunch of things right there. Right there. You can look
Oh,
at it
wow.
right in the office. I actually
That's
have
amazing.
hasn't got hung on the wall yet. This is a
That's
one of
amazing.
his yeah.
That's
If you're
incredible.
early, you're never late. That was like one of his favorite quotes ever. So he's
Yeah.
you're not late with him. Or when he was
So,
alive.
yeah, of course. So staying on that, was the sport of, I guess, baseball or softball always in your blood, or did you kind of discover that love for the game on your own?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been in my blood. My father actually also played baseball, so that's something he grew up really loving as well, and was in his family. And then my grandfather is my mom's dad, so I think from both sides of my family, there definitely was a love for baseball. And obviously, growing up, I've been to a lot of Yankees games, Red Sox games, traveling all over the country to watch different, to be at different stadiums or different spring trainings. And so I think but it was the nice thing about it was never pushed whether I had to play softball or anything like that. I always grew up playing multiple sports, and I think but then I got to a certain age where I knew that was the sport that I would likely excel at the most, and I chose to focus on that. But it was nice. It was never a like a force or hey, you have to be a college softball player. It was just something that they let me grow to love and pick what sports I like to do, and so that was also nice as well.
That's incredible. And I feel like growing up in a household or just in a house when you're surrounded by athletes, not that you're forced, but you almost kind of want to, follow in the right footsteps and continue that path. So that's incredible that you've been able to create that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
so moving on to your college experience, you played at UMass.
Mhm.
The team had a lot of success in those 4 years, making NCAA championship runs, super regional runs in 2006, and
Mhm.
A10 championships. And now you're back in the A10. So could you share with me your experiences just playing at UMass and then, now how you navigate the Atlantic 10 as a head coach, but more so on a rival standpoint?
Yeah, I'm a big person of focus on yourself. So, for me, when I was a player, yeah, of course you're gonna have like your rivals as a player. It's kind of like our players at Rhode Island. They have who they feel is their rival or who they, get fired up more, I guess, to play. But I think the biggest thing I um, tried to was always instilled to us as a player was, you really need to play everybody the same. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'm going to try to get across here is, every game you should be getting up for. Every game, you have to come in with the same exact attitude. You can't be, up for UMass and down for Dayton. It's just because UMass, maybe is regionally closer, or that's, maybe the URI UMass rival, maybe more in general. That shouldn't dictate how you play. And so everybody should be, approaching the game the same way. And I think one of the things from my coach at UMass, and she's not alive anymore either, but she was a very legendary coach, within the NCAA, very heavy in trying to help with women's sports and Title IX. And she was also the SWA at UMass. And, she was just about doing things the right way. She was about doing the little things the right way. And she was also very much about creating this special environment where you aspired to be like her, even in the days where she was on you or not. And she created a way where it was really, really tough sometimes. But like you had to kind of gut check yourself a little bit and dig a little deeper some days to really figure out who you want to be. And it wasn't always going to be kind of like skipping and skipping and rainbows and lollipops all the time was her words a lot to us. And sometimes those tough moments are what are going to make the best players. And so one of the things I always say to my personal players, and this is nothing has changed since where I coached before to here, is I'm a big person of I love to see when someone's going bad or maybe 0 for 3 or in a little bit of a slump or maybe it's not their best pitching day. How do they respond to the adversity? I think I'm a very non-judgmental person, and when I think the only time I like to really see how someone is how they respond when things are negative or things are not going their way. Because the game doesn't know when things are gonna go wrong. The game doesn't know if it's raining or if it's sunny out. The game is always going to just be the game, and you have to learn how to play that in the right way, and you have to hustle and you have to play it right and you have to play it hard. And so I think for me, it's not about rivals or anything like that. It's just about teaching my players how to play at a deeper level, with strong game IQ, with great fundamentals and great work ethic and passion and heart to be on the field every single day. And if we can hold ourselves to that standard every single day, then we're going to become a championship culture team, and we're going to make great strides in the A10 as we move forward.
Yeah, just another question about the University of Rhode Island program. I've noticed that the softball team has struggled a bit in the recent years. So how do you plan to change that reputation at URI, getting, more attention or exposure to softball here? And just in the Atlantic 10, as you mentioned, what do you think will get them over the hump?
Yeah, I think it's just the buy-in. I think a lot of leadership starts at the top, but it's their team just as much as it's my team. So, I always talk about it's our team, and it's how we're going to represent ourselves everywhere. So it starts with us. Are we being on time? Are we putting in the extra work? Are we, how are we treating our teammates? How are we responding with feedback from the coaches? Are we like, yes, coach, I got this, or kind of like, I'm not sure. It's all about buy-in. It's all about the way we want to represent ourselves, and then also the way we want to brand ourselves. So are we branding ourselves in a way that, we're showing up at other people's events? Are we being great supporters of our athletic community? Are we, taking care of our academics, and just really everything to be a great community member is truly important and encompassing to how you create the level at which you want to be at. You can't just be at practice and then check out when you leave and say, okay, I'm not a softball player anymore, because you're committing and investing yourself to be a Division I athlete, and that requires every part of being on campus. And so I think it's just really getting those pieces and that structure and that accountability continue to be across all around in all directions, and just really coaching and being as best as we can in all levels, from academics to community member to athletics to person. And as long as we can try to help guide, kind of what I call young people, help guide them to make the best choices, because everything is about a choice. And I talk to them about this all the time. Choices have consequences, and everything is about an active choice to be your best self. And if you can do those things, we're going to move. The win column will continue to take care of themselves, the more that we continue to make great choices.
Absolutely. And I want to touch upon, prior to URI, you were at WPI. You had a successful 8 seasons there, leading them to regular season titles, NEW, MAC, practicing that one, championship crowns, NCAA regional appearances, super regional appearances, and even coach of the year honors. So just share with me, what was working for that program, what you learned, and how you can kind of take that opportunity and apply that here at URI.
Yeah, I've been really blessed to, just like here, coach great young women. And it doesn't change there. Very smart, very intelligent, just people that love the game. And I think, I love it at a very high level. I live for it. So there's always a difference of like, you live for it, you love it, you like it. And I think especially at this level at Division I, you got to either love it or live for it in order to make the commitment that we're asking them to make, and put all the work in that we're asking them. But I think, my time at WPI was some of the greatest moments that I've had coaching, reassuring moments where I'm like, you know what, I'm a younger head coach, but I'm doing things the right way. These players are buying in. And then eventually it starts taking care of itself, and the people are so bought in within the program, and the upperclassmen are setting the tone every single year when new first years come in, that things are just getting taken care of themselves. And I don't even have to remind things anymore. And so right now I'm in a lot of not letting things go, a lot of just reminding, making sure we're staying on top of even simple things like tucking in our shirts when we're in lift or whatever it may be, not letting a single thing go. Because if we start letting things go, then I feel like I'm not doing my job as a good head coach. I think it's about all those little things that really do take care of the bigger picture. And I'm a big believer in that. So it was the same thing at WPI when I first got there. It was just about creating an environment of structure, creating an environment where it's okay to fail. I think that's like one big thing. It's okay to do something wrong. It's okay. We're going to educate and learn from our mistakes. We're going to help improve you on the field. And it's okay to, I don't know, be vulnerable, I guess. And when we can get everybody to buy into that, even knowing they can make a mistake, and at some point they're going to, even if they may get taken out or anything like that, they're going to have opportunities. They're going to get more opportunities. The rug isn't just ripped out from under you. And I think just making sure everybody also knows, and a big philosophy of mine is, every day at practice is your opportunity to show the coaches of why you should play, or every day at practice is your way you can show us how you're improving and becoming your best leader, your best teammate. And so I think if those things can continue to get taken care of kind of over the 8 years that was when I was at WPI, Rhode Island softball is going to continue to just take off in a great way.
And what went into the decision to move on from that and take the job here at the University of Rhode Island?
Yeah, I've always aspired to be a Division I New England head coach. That really stems from my own love of kind of like a chippiness, I guess, if you will. I was from New Hampshire, and I was the first player, to my knowledge, to ever play at UMass from New Hampshire. And when you attach New Hampshire to like the recruiting process, it wasn't the typical, oh, you're from California, oh, you're from Florida, oh, you're from Texas, oh, you're in these states where you're playing softball year round. New Hampshire, I think it was like I couldn't even get some schools even in the Northeast region to respond to me, and I was a pretty good high school player, and so I learned a lot from that process. And when UMass gave me the opportunity, and they were ranked 13th or 14th in the country at the time, I just felt so lucky that a coach actually believed and gave me the time of day to kind of believe in me for potentially their school. And so that's one of the things I've taken with me, is just this little girl from New Hampshire who actually was pretty good. And somebody gave me a chance. And that's one of the things, like sometimes, with my own new assistants, we read every email. We respond to everybody at least once, at least. We are looking and evaluating every person. We do not turn a blind eye. The only time I do not respond is if they call me the wrong coach name or they write the wrong school. That's the only time, because they're not taking attention to details very well. But I just remember what it feels like to be them. I try to approach every day with, how would this make me feel if I was 20? And I haven't lost that feeling yet. And I think, I don't have an issue with having tougher conversations, getting us to all be on the same page. And, just getting back to that point about being from New Hampshire, it's like, okay, we have to evaluate everybody. We have to look at everybody, whether that tougher conversation I just mentioned, whether it's, hey, we may not think this is the right fit for you. That's okay. That's going to happen. Not everybody's the right fit for everybody. But we do want to make sure, and we do always look at everybody, because, the one thing I've gotten a lot since I've gotten this job, or just in general over my coaching career, is, wow, you respond, like, wow, like we can't believe you followed through or followed up with some, and I think goes a long way. Communication goes a long way, and not forgetting what it feels like to be these players in those shoes, especially during a recruiting process when it's so nerve-wracking. To just keep up with that and to show some compassion and empathy during that is important.
And I think for a coach or for a player to see that coach is responding right away, I think that does leave a first impression on them, and it does, help in terms of recruitment. So that's great that you do that.
Absolutely.
I've talked to a lot of assistant coaches, and through across men's basketball, women's basketball, just a lot of different sports. And a lot of them don't really respond, and they either, wait for the head coach to approve it, or they just don't even show the head coach that so-and-so is contacting them.
Yeah.
But for you to be the head coach and to have these, connections and develop these relationships with players who may not even be at the program yet, I think that goes a long way. So that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, it's very important that someone, whether it be me or one of my assistants, somebody from our staff does answer everybody at the appropriate age that we're allowed to.
Right.
And so I think it's important. It shows that we care, and we may not get to, we get hundreds of emails. So it's, we may not always get onto every single, but we always try to at least answer those first few, or continue the conversation as we go, because it's important that we're acknowledging every person as a student athlete. It's important.
Absolutely. I want to shift gears to a little bit more of your eye in this team that you have this year. I noticed that you brought in assistant coach Constantine, whose grandfather is Haywood Sullivan, I believe.
Yeah.
Former general manager of the Boston Red Sox. So were you well aware when you had hired her, brought her in, that your grandfather and her grandfather had known each other? Or was that sort of just a coincidence?
Yeah, we Coach Tori. We call her Coach Tori, but
Okay.
Tori, yes, she and I have known each other, and I've known her family, particularly her father, for a while since I played. He used to be pretty good friends with my college coach, so he used to watch me play when I was in college, and he ran a club. He was the head coach of a club team, and so he's been coaching a long time. He was a good baseball player. So we just all kind of have connected through weird connections with each other. And, I've known Tori since she was a camper at UMass when I played, and I was like her counselor. So we've gone like a long way over the years. And we've always just stayed in touch, and I've always stayed in touch with her dad. And this was a really good opportunity. Tori's a great recruiter. She's has a great young eye. And so it's something where she's going to blossom really well, and she's very mature. So it works out really, really well that this was a strong connection that we could have right away.
That's amazing. Looking forward to this season, what are your expectations, going into this season for the team and for yourself? What goals do you have on a personal note and just on a team note?
Yeah, I think I'm a big process person. So process more than the outcome right now is going to be important. I'm not a big, let's stay in the moment, let's stay present, let's go day by day. Because if we focus more on day by day, it's hard. Like, let's say we're playing Fordham tomorrow and George Washington next week. We don't want them talking about George Washington before we play Fordham. So I think it's important that they stay very present, and they really focus on the process of us getting better as a group. And I think, yes, obviously the program hasn't in 11 years, I think it's about 11, has been to playoffs, or has made the A10 championships. I think there's, the team knows some of the goals and some of the things that, this would be great to strive toward. And we talked about that one time at our first team meeting. And then it's really about putting that in the back corner for a little bit and really just working and figuring out and letting us kind of, keep them accountable and telling them and not really letting things go and working hard, and strength and conditioning is coming up, individuals, things like that. We have a few more practices to wrap up for this fall, but it's really just about the process. It'd be awesome to really knock at the door, and be extremely competitive in all of our A10 games and hold our own and just play the game within the game at a deeper level than I think, some of the players have been used to. And so that's going to be a really good transition for us to see some of the things that we are implementing. How do we do that in pressured situations of games that actually count? So far this fall, we've done a good job of improving. We can definitely see their wheels spinning a little bit as we play during this fall. So it's been good to see, because we know they're trying. We know they're trying to buy into what we're asking them to do, because any coaching staff is going to come in and do something different. And that's our biggest thing is, we've asked them to just be present, do your best to, do what we're asking, and we're going to move forward as best as we can in a great direction. And, I've been really proud because we do have a great staff with Coach Tori and Coach Christine Aker. Both have won championships. Coach Christine, our pitching coach, has been to a Division III College World Series. It's important to surround them with winning people and winning culture of coaches. And I think that will really inspire and help them. And already the strides that they've made, and just buy-in has been amazing. So we're really proud of them. We're excited to compete, and just really hold our own and hopefully surprise a few people by the time February, March, and April and May come along.
That's awesome. I have two more questions for you. The first one is, what is the best part of your job? What do you look forward to every day about this team and just about being the head coach of the softball team?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I really like about being a coach or hear, different things. I actually enjoy, so I'll walk to my car before practice and I drive over to the field, and, and when I get out of my car, it's like one of my favorite times. Like I'm like, okay, I'm at softball. We can focus on softball. I can teach the game. I walk around the dugout. Hey coach. Just really just the joy of a game brings a lot of people together. I've met so many great people over my life so far, because of a game, because of connection of softball. And so I think if we can just share the love and the passion I know that we as coaches have with our players a little bit every single day, and we inspire them to be the best version of themselves they can be, we're going to get better. And those are the moments where I kind of am excited to, it's okay. Like, we have fun. We joke with them. Yes, we can be tough a little bit too sometimes, and hold them to that standard every single day of like, hey, nope, get back on the base. We're going to do it. We got to go redo this again. We're going to repeat that rep again, or whatever it is. But it's just really nice. And it's been really inspiring for us to just kind of get to practice every single day, be around the kids. And again, like when we saw the clinic yesterday, those are rewarding moments, I know, for at least myself, and I can pretty much speak for my staff. When you're watching, and I said this to them at the first team meeting, I can't wait for our clinic in a month, because I said the amount that you're going to hopefully learn and hopefully retain, And, all of them have completely different knowledge. So it's like, they all come from different programs. They've all been coached by different people. And so for us, it's really just trying to find a common ground, a common language right now of helping them understand and how to bring that together. And those moments when we start to see, again, kind of like I mentioned in the beginning, those light bulbs go off. Those are really some of the most inspiring moments that we have and makes me enjoy my time here.
Absolutely. You talked about the advice that you received throughout your career that helped you evolve into a player. But, what was the best advice that you received? And to flip that question, what advice best advice do you have that you can give to those looking to play at the collegiate level or your players in general?
Boy. You're putting me on the spot a little bit.
Last question I have, but.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a couple sayings that I have. One of them is you have to figure out how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like no one's going to grow from just doing things the same way, and no one's going to grow if no one's keeping them accountable. So, I think that's one of the things that you have to be willing, especially like a young player, that might be looking to be recruited. You have to be willing to play multiple positions. You have to be willing to be coached. You have to be, you have to gauge the room is like what I like to say. Like you have to be able to, if coach is talking to you, like respond, you have to be able to give great energy. I always, like I'll joke with the infield, you gotta be tigers. You gotta be like, ferocious animals in the infield are just really always talking and always communicating and making eye contact and having little handshakes with your teammates. Like all of those things add up to why we are going to win a championship someday here. And then I think the other thing that I always talk to them about, and I've mentioned multiple times, and a few of them have been like, oh, that really clicks with me. They need to be patient with their own rate of success. So, some of the things that we say to a senior who is more advanced right now than, let's say, a freshman, they're going to get it faster. And then a freshman is going to get frustrated because they're like, oh, I'm watching them do it. Why can't I get my right hand path for offense? Or why can't I, deliver this pitch the same way as the junior pitcher? It's like they get frustrated, and it's kind of like, what though, you're already improving, and you have to be patient because everybody's time frame of when they start to get it a little bit can be different from each other. And so I think it's just about being patient. It's about like really, I always talk about too, like looking in the mirror and pointing the finger back at you. Like you always have to be reflective of how you sound, how you are talking, how you're approaching people. Are you really hustling? Are you really pushing yourself at practice the way that you should? And what standard are you holding yourself to? Because coach isn't always there to watch you and hold you to a certain standard every single time you walk away from the field. So it's getting that self accountability, that independent leadership within our own program of each other. And just, those are the things we're really working and striving toward. And those are the type of players we're looking for that are going to be energy givers, that are going to be really just kind of Sue Enquist, the old UCLA coach, always talks about the top third, the middle third, and the bottom third. We want people that are going to be in that top third that are going to drag those middle thirds up with them. We want people to be at their top energy level all the time as best as possible. And that can be hard to find, especially when you first come into a program. So we are working on those things every day, and we've just really been excited and proud of the way our players have done their best, literally done their best to be as good as they can every single day. It's been really great.
That's amazing. And I'm looking forward to the season. I think this team has a lot of high hopes going for them. And I'm excited to hopefully break that curse that we're going through. And I think we have the right leadership to head in that direction.
No curses. We're just going to start winning some more games.
Or that drought, maybe that's a better word. I don't know. But Coach, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me and do this. I wish you guys the best of luck. I'm going to be rooting for you. Hopefully get into a game in the spring. For this upcoming season, and of course, go Rhody.
Awesome, go Rhody. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
Press I want for sure, you gon' need 3 promoters. I got the body from Jim Ellis, but I had switched the motor. I got these badass bitch running around this bitch, they all the coders. I just told her make a story. I just bought all the Trojans.